My name is David Lawson, and a year ago I thought my life was over. The divorce had stripped me of almost everything. My home, my savings, even the confidence I once carried without thinking. One morning I woke up in a half-empty apartment with nothing but a mattress on the floor and a coffee mug that didn't match the rest of the dishes because, well, there were no other dishes. My ex-wife, Rachel, had been meticulous in the settlement, and I didn't fight her. I was too tired, too defeated, too ready to let the world move on without me. I worked odd jobs to stay afloat, a warehouse shift here, deliveries there, anything that paid enough to keep the lights on. Nights were the worst. The silence in that tiny apartment seemed to mock me, a reminder that I had once built a life full of plans and laughter, only to watch it dissolve like smoke. Then, on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon, everything changed. I was sitting at a diner counter nursing a cup of cheap coffee when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. "Mr. Lawson," a calm voice said. "My name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an attorney representing the estate of Mr. Harold Benton." I frowned. "I don't know anyone named Benton." The man hesitated. "Actually, you did. He was your mother's cousin, a distant relative. He passed away 2 months ago, and you've been listed as a beneficiary in his will." I laughed, a short bitter sound. "I think you've got the wrong guy. I can barely afford breakfast, let alone relatives with wills." He didn't laugh. "Mr. Lawson, you might want to sit down." My hand tightened around the phone. "Why?" "Because," he said, "you've just inherited $47 million. For a moment, the world stopped. The diner noise faded, the clatter of dishes distant and hollow. "I'm sorry," I said finally. "Did you say million?" 47, he confirmed. "You're the sole heir." I hung up, thinking it had to be a scam. Who inherits that kind of money from a stranger? But later that day, curiosity got the better of me. I called back, and the next morning, I found myself sitting in a sleek downtown office, staring at a stack of documents that all bore my name. It was real. Harold Benton had been an eccentric investor who'd never married or had children. He'd built a fortune quietly, and for reasons known only to him, he'd left it all to me, a man he'd met once as a kid at a family reunion I barely remembered. "He said you reminded him of himself," the lawyer told me. "Said you had kind eyes." I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The next few weeks were a blur of bank meetings, financial advisors, and disbelief. Overnight, the man who couldn't pay rent became a millionaire many times over. But instead of feeling powerful, I felt lost. What do you do when your life flips upside down? Money couldn't erase the pain of losing my marriage, the years I'd spent doubting my worth. Still, I decided to use the gift wisely. The first thing I did was pay off every debt I owed, including Rachel's lingering medical bills from before the divorce. She called me when she got the notice. "Why would you do that?" she asked softly. "Because we once shared a life," I said. "And because I can." There was a long pause before she whispered, "Thank you." For the first time, there was no bitterness between us, just quiet understanding. I bought a modest house on the edge of town, nothing extravagant, just somewhere with sunlight and a garden I could actually keep alive. I also started a small foundation in Harold Benton's name, dedicated to helping people restart their lives after major losses, people like me. Every week, letters came in from strangers telling me their stories, their pain, their gratitude. It gave my fortune purpose. But the biggest change came unexpectedly. One afternoon, I stopped by the diner where I'd first taken that call. The waitress, a woman named Claire who'd served me coffee all those lonely mornings, smiled when she saw me. "Haven't seen you in a while," she said. "Guess things turned around?" I nodded. "More than I ever imagined." She laughed. "Well, good. You looked like a man carrying the world on his shoulders." I smiled. "Not anymore." Over time, that diner became more than a place for coffee. It became a symbol of where I'd been and how far I'd come. Claire and I started talking more about life, second chances, and how unpredictable kindness can be. She never asked about the money. She just listened. That, more than anything, reminded me of who I was before life got complicated. 1 year later, on the anniversary of Harold's death, I stood by his modest grave, a bouquet in hand. "You didn't even know me," I whispered. But you saved me. The wind rustled through the trees like an answer. As I walked away, I realized the truth. The inheritance wasn't the fortune, it was the freedom to rebuild, to be better, to help others find their own footing when life knocked them down. Money had simply given me the tools. The real gift was hope. Now, when people hear my story and say, "You're the luckiest man alive," I smile and tell them they're half right. Because luck gave me $47 million, but life, in its strange and unexpected way, gave me a second chance to become someone worth inheriting it.